Welcome to Talking Tobacco. I'm your host, Bill, and it's been a minute since I did the last episode. I think it was August. And has anything happened in the tobacco world since then? It's all pretty quiet. I haven't really heard of any news or anything like that. I think it's all pretty much steady as they go, right? Did I miss anything? Okay, we all know that crazy big news with Sutliff and MacBaren being sold to STG, the Scandinavian Tobacco Group. I'm going to touch on that a little bit, probably towards the end of the show. I'm not going to dive into it too much, only because it's been talked about so much. And if you are following any of the guys on YouTube, there's plenty of videos out there on it. All that's out there. I'm not going to get into it too much, but I will give my thoughts on it. But anyway, for today's episode, I'm going to be talking about GLP's Barbary Coast. And then I'm going to recap the blends I was smoking in the fall and what I'm smoking now. And I have a B&M story, a brick and mortar story we're going to get to. I'm going to do some listener feedback, and then we are going to talk a little bit about the Sutliff MacBaren deal. Not a ton, just going to give you my 2 cents. And that's it. So what I'll do is, those are the subjects I'm going to cover today. And in the show notes, I will put timestamps if you are the type of listener that likes to jump around, jump back and forth, and you could do that in the show notes. All right, so GLP's Barbary Coast. This is a blend that's been out for a while. This was one of the original, actually I'm looking at the tin. Okay, it's one of the original mixtures. So it's the old school tin, just with like a black and white photo with a little blue trim on it. I think sometimes, we get all fascinated and worked up with everything new and the latest blend here and the new, small batch. And I feel like I was in a mood to try to go back and just grab some older stuff that's been around and I haven't heard much about. I saw a couple of videos on this tobacco blend on YouTube, but not a ton. There's really popular blends, as we all know, that everyone covers, okay? Like plum pudding and blah, blah, blah. Escudo. All these different blends are so well known and well covered that this one's not. There's a couple different videos on it, just a few. But I think I got into this, and if you've been listening, you know that I'm kind of on this Virginia run. And I did get away from English blends and a lot of Kia blends, although I'm not totally, giving up on those blends. I still have them. I still enjoy them. I just have been on, my palate has just shifted. And this happened, a year or so ago. So I've been on this crazy Virginia run. And that led me into like a Virginia Burley run. So I was doing all these searches for, Virginias and Virginia Perique and then a Virginia Burley. And that's how I found the GLP's Barbary Coast, because it's a Virginia Burley with Perique. But what I like about smoking pipes is other sites might do this as well. I mean, I'm only on this site and I check pipes and cigars. But anyway, on smoking pipes, they tell you the family. So you can see the components are Virginia, Perique, and Burley, but you're always wondering, like, what's the lead component? What's the family that at least the blender considers the blend to be? And this was a Burley. So it's mostly Burley since that's the family. So that intrigued me. So it was more like the Virginia and the Perique were Perique for sure was a condiment blend, mostly Burley, and then mixed in with some Virginia. So I will read the description real fast off smoking pipes, and then I'll get into it. The finest cube cut Burley, chosen for its deep nutty flavors, forms a robust foundation for this sophisticated blend. Rich red Virginia tobaccos are added for their subtle sweetness and complexity, while the unique spice of Perique provides added dimension. A delicate kiss of brandy polishes this blend to a perfect finish. GLP's Barbary Coast is delightfully satisfying with hints of black walnut, dark chocolate, and dried fruits. So there you have it. So I got this tin back in an order I did in August of 2024. And I opened it up right away, took a whiff of it, and I noticed the topping, and I was like, ooh, I don't know about this one. Smoked a bowl and was like, oh, really? This is not that big a deal. And I put it away. And that's kind of what happens with me. Like I'll order 5 tins of something and I get all excited and I'll start opening them up right away and I'll try it and then I'll put it away. I'll label it and put it in a jar, put it away. But I recently pulled back out the Barbary Coast and it's more than I thought it was. And you definitely get the hint of dark chocolate, which I just discovered. I was like going through it and smoking some bowls, and I was like, oh my God. It was like right off the first puff, I got this little bit of chocolate note, and this description's pretty good. Black walnut, dark chocolate, the dried fruits, totally there. And that brandy flavor is there. It's not overwhelming. It's really light. And I had it this morning again with coffee, like first thing in the morning. I had it yesterday in the afternoon with a black tea, and I liked it better in the afternoon with the tea. I don't know. It just more of the flavors came out of it. But what I'll tell you is, first of all, the cut, it's a cube cut. And it kind of looks like and faintly reminds me of, now you're either going to love this or you're going to hate this, but a luxury version of Sir Walter Raleigh. Now, hopefully you didn't just turn off the podcast if you're not into codger blends, but to me, what I like about this blend a lot is it reminds me of a codger blend. Now, why is that good? I enjoy codger blends. I like Prince Albert. I like Sir Walter Raleigh. And believe it or not, I recently revisited Half and Half, and I hated it when I got it back in 2021. I recently had it, and I said, holy crap, I like this. So I like codger blends. I just do. I don't think they're better than, the premium tobacco blends, the boutique tobacco. I know that, I'm using air quotes, that they're, the boutique and luxury, not luxury, premium, that's the word I'm looking for. The premium blends. I know those are air quote better, but I still enjoy a codger blend. And this to me feels, smells, and smokes like a luxurious version of Sir Walter Raleigh. It's not the same. Sir Walter Raleigh has this kind of like anise or anise, however you say it, background. This is more of a brandy aftertaste, tiny bit, not aromatic. I'm not trying to make it sound like an aromatic at all, and it's not, because the family's burley. If it had more brandy, the family would be aromatic, but it's not that. But I like it, and it's so funny that just thinking about the blend in that context made me like it more, because I like codger blends. I think that's kind of what happened with a lot of people that didn't like Cornell and Deal's 8-State Burley. They were like, what is this? It's this cube cut. It's really light, but that's a reminiscent of a codger blend. And when you think about it in those terms, Now all of a sudden your expectations change, because your expectations, and this is not to insult any of the old codgers that love codger blends and that's your favorite blend. I totally get it. I'm talking about the guys that normally smoke the premium tin tobacco of today, the stuff that's being pressed and made today. So there's, a lot of those smokers look at codger blends like these cheap OTCs that, it's a Miller Lite. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with Miller Lite. You know what I mean? There's a time and a place for Miller Lite, right? Even if you're a brewery guy who loves small batch beers and you get into all these expensive beers, there's still a time and a place for a Miller Lite. If you're on the beach, how do you beat a Miller Lite? So, or if you're playing softball or volleyball or whatever you're doing, there's a time and a place. But if you're sitting at a bar, a nice brew house, and you want that pour and you want that head on that, with beer that was just made right there in the vat behind you, I get it. There's a time and a place for that. So when I run into these blends like Barbary Coast or like 8 State Burley, I don't judge them against luxury tins of what's out there right now, like H.H. Burley Flake or Wessex Burley Flake. That's not what they're going for, in my opinion. I could be totally wrong. This is just my opinion. If Mr. Pease tells me I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. You know what I mean? I'm not going to argue with the man. But my opinion is it's Sir Walter Raleigh with a PhD in deliciousness. That's kind of what it is. And when I load the pipe and smoke it thinking of that, I'm like, holy moly, I enjoy Sir Walter Raleigh. This is better. This is a version of that, but it's stepped up. Now, does that mean it's going to replace Sir Walter Raleigh for me? No, because in my opinion, I'm going to stop saying in my opinion. This whole fucking thing's my opinion, obviously. So bear with me. But codger blends for me will always have a place. There's something about a codger blend that puts a smile on my face more than any other tobacco. And that doesn't mean they're better. They're not. I could smoke an aged, let me think of a blend that I absolutely love. Well, let's just talk about H.H. Burley Flake, which is going away, unfortunately. But something like that. That flake is so fine. It breaks up so well. You could tell the quality of tobacco is amazing. And it's more expensive, and I get it. And it's, it's made different, and it's a smaller batch than these monster houses produced in the I get all that. But when I walk into my cellar to grab my pipe that I'm going to use for the day, and I see the tub of Prince Albert on the bar, I almost giggle. I don't know what it is. It's probably a lot of it has to do with the history of it, and knowing that the guys were smoking this, in the early 1900s. That's definitely part of it. The cut's part of it. How easy it is to just fill your bowl up and how easy it stays lit. All that's part of it. And I go through phases. So this whole past summer, I did not touch a codger blend. I was all into Virginia blends. I was all into Peter Stokeby's Luxury Twist Flake, Peter Stokeby's Bullseye Flake, Eric Stokeby's Luxury Navy Flake, Newminster's 400, I think it was Superior Navy Flake. All into those. That's all. I could not. Matter of fact, when fall came, I couldn't. It was so hard for me to make a switch. I was trying to get to English blends just to switch it up. That's the fun of it for me too. I know guys are like, well, I smoke the same family all year round. It's Virginias and that's it. Or it's just English and that's it. And that's fine. For me, I like to try with the seasons because that just helps me put something down, try something out, see if it's changed for me. with the winter and the cold here in the Northeast, I say I need something a little more bolder. Now, what wound up happening was I was dabbling a little bit in English this winter, but I wound up going back to like stronger Virginias with maybe a little bit more Perique or some Dark Fire Kentucky, and that wound up being my winter, my winter go-to instead of English. Although I did smoke an English that I'm going to talk about probably in an upcoming episode, but yeah, I mean, I just enjoy the enjoy the idea of the Codger blend. So anyway, Barbary Coast, I enjoyed it. If you like Codger blends and you want to see what like a souped up version is, especially if you like Sir Walter Raleigh, I would order a 10 of this. And I'm probably going to have it. I'm probably going to order it again. I'm probably going to have it around. I liked it a lot. Okay, so I kind of already got into the fall. I really didn't get into the blends. I went back and listened to my last episode. I really didn't get into the blends. I was talking about too much. What I thought was going to be my fall blends back in the last episode, which was like 1792 Flake, which I love, but I stress that it's just you got to be in the mood for it, and it's just hard to keep lit. I really didn't do too many English blends. I did wind up doing an order. I think I talked about this on the last episode of the Peter Stokeby's Navy Flake, the Newminster, and I think in that same order, I ordered Robert McConnell's Scottish Flake. What's so funny about that blend, if you go to YouTube and type in like Scottish Flake and make sure you find the Robert McConnell Scottish Flake, you can't find a bad review on that. That's so good. Hold on, I'm gonna pull up. I think that's a Virginia Perique and Dark Fire, but hold on a second. Scottish Flake, yeah, it's a Virginia Perique and Burley, which is funny because it's the same contents of the Barbary Flake, and they smoke totally different. But yeah, so the Robert McConnell Scottish Flake, Virginia Perique Burley, same as Barbary Coast, totally different blend. This is a flake, doesn't have the topping that Barbary Coast does, and it smokes totally different. It's delicious. It's a little on the sweeter side. I will do a review on that. And I definitely was on, now I'm looking back in my notes, and I definitely was on this Virginia Perique and Burley kick because I also ordered Rattray's Howl of the Wind, and that's also a Virginia Perique Burley. And I was smoking Scottish Flake and Howl of the Wind back to back, not at the same time, but like I would do a bowl of one and a bowl of the other. They smoke totally different. So that for the new guys, when you're looking at getting to pipe tobacco, when you start to realize what components you like, you can get two different tobaccos with the same components and they will taste nothing alike. I mean, it's night and day. It was really fun to have. I went on this kick. It had to be like a month or so where I was smoking Robert McConnell Scottish Flake and Rattray's Howl of the Wind. And it all came down to, was I in the mood for something sweeter or something grainier? And that's how I decided which of those two I would smoke at that moment. So like the Howl of the Wind almost has like a grainy flavor to it. Almost like eating some kind of bland cereal. That's what it reminded me of. Like Chex or like grape nuts. If you didn't break a tooth eating grape nuts, something like that. But it's delicious. I mean, they're totally different. But the McConnell Scottish Flake just has this sweet topping. Oh my God. So it just depends. Sometimes in the morning, I'm not for sweet. So I would smoke the Howl of the Wind. And then maybe in the afternoon with a black tea with some honey in it, I would smoke the Scottish Flake. And it was just, they're both so good. It's just crazy. It's crazy how you can find tobaccos like this. And obviously I know it's all about the amounts you're putting in of one component versus the other, but I'm sure there's other toppings that occasionally go. I'm sure the McConnell's probably has some kind of topping on it. I mean, it's not artificial, but there's got to be something. It's because it's just too good. It's I was watching a video from Beans 316, I think, and he said that some guys say that they call this Scottish flake their crack, and I get it, man. It's just that is a tasty. That's a tasty blend. Okay, so trying to think what else. The Newminster. I ordered the Newminster. I put this order in. I guess it was around August or so, but like I said, I did wind up getting those Stokeby blends. I got the Newminster Superior Navy Flake. It's a straight Virginia, and that is so damn good. And I believe that is produced by MacBaren, so I'm assuming that's going away. So that's the only panic buy I did, is I bought 2 pounds of it, and I just put it away. Just, if we never see it again, I'll have 2 pounds, and I'm good with that. I'm not the type of guy, as you know, to smoke one blend all the time anyway, so I rotate so much that I can't even imagine. I might wind up selling one of those pounds at some point, because I can't even imagine me going through 2 pounds of it. But it's really, really good. And that was one of the things I did when I found out that so many of these blends were going away, was I would just start Googling, like, who produces this, who produces that. And anyway, I'll get into that a little bit later. All right, I have a brick and mortar story for you. So I was at a meeting off-site. So I was in my area kind of, but not my normal office, and that's all I'm going to say. But so anytime I'm away in a different neighborhood or whatever, different city or whatever, I'll Google, like, I'll do a search for like tobacco shops near me, because I'm curious. I always like to walk in a brick and mortar, a new one, just to see what they have on the shelf. You never know. And I like to support B&Ms still, right? Even though I do most of my ordering through Smoking Pipes, I like to support, any kind of shop. We need to keep these shops around. So I walk in this B&M, and it's tiny. It's tiny. When I tell you, you walk in, you're in this space that's about, 10 by 15. And right behind that 10 mark is the counter where you pay. Like, it's a tiny, but this tobacconist had over 100 different tobaccos stacked, all categorized on his walls. And I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, because he had stuff that you can't get. You can't get, you can't get them on Smoking, but they're always out. So I started grabbing some tins, and I was like, I'll be back. But I stayed in there for a little bit. I got to talk to the proprietor for a while. Great guy. And he could tell how excited I was about everything. So we had a nice chat about different pipe tobaccos. I just grabbed, what did I grab? There was a Rattray's Old Gallery, which I know you can get on Smoky Pipes, but I seen it and I grabbed it. I also grabbed Cornell and Deal's Steamworks, because that was a small batch that's out. I saw that, so I picked that up. And then he had tins of Sam Gaywith St. James Flake, it's a Virginia Perique, which I was always curious to get, but I never see it on Smoking Pipes. So I grabbed a tin of that, and then I just grabbed a tin of Sam Gawith's Best Brown, because I've had that before, and you can get that, but it's so good. It's such a great straight Virginia. And I think I just bought those 4, if I'm remembering right. I probably should have wrote that down. But he had tins. He had other tins in there that were small batch runs that I recognized, and I can't remember now, but I'll be popping back in there anytime that goes on and seeing what he has. So I got so excited, and we were talking for a while, that he goes, all right, hold on. And he goes behind the counter and he puts on the counter 4 tins of tobacco. And they're tins I've never seen before in person or on smoking pipes. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what they were. The first tin was Esoterica and Soda Bed, which is an English blend. I freaked out. When I saw these, he put up 3 Esoterica tins in front of me, and I was like, what? Freaking out. And I was like, oh my God, I was freaking. So anyway, that's a Virginia Latakia and Oriental. So that's an English blend. Then he had a tin of, what else was it? Pembroke, which is, again, a Virginia Latakia and Orientals. So it's another English. And the last one he had was Margate, which is another Virginia Latakia and Orientals. And last but not least, he had a tin of Balkan Sobrani. So these are 4 tins that are extremely, extremely hard to get. I know that. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, I'm dying laughing, and I'm like, no way, you got to be kidding me. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, you can buy one, and the price he gave me was insane. It was so cheap. I was like freaking, and I'm looking at these, and I was like, oh my God. But as I calmed down, I said, I can't buy any of these. And he was like, what? I said, listen, here's the deal. I want them all. I said, just because you can't get these, I would love to just have them. But I said, to be honest, I'm not going to smoke them because I'm just not into Latakia right now. And I don't know if I'm ever going to be a huge fan of English again. And I would never sell them. I would never buy them from him for cheap and then try to sell them and try to make money on them. I wouldn't do that. And I said, you have to sell these to an English lover and somebody who's going to smoke them. I'm not going to do it. I said, so I appreciate it, but I want these to go to someone who smokes English. Now, I could have bought one and did something here where I did a giveaway or let somebody who loves English buy them. I get that. I just wasn't thinking that at the time. And I want him to have the joy of selling one of those tins to someone who's going to smoke it and appreciate it and thank him. And it just wasn't going to be me. It killed me, but I did make him a deal. I said, here's the deal. And I gave him my name and number. And I said, if you get any Esoterica, the Virginia blends, I said, call me. I will come in and I will buy them because I will smoke those. So I thought that was, it was fun. It was fun to go in there. And, I'm thinking about doing something where you guys, if you give me the name of something you're looking for, I might go pop back in there and see if he has it, or maybe I'll call him and see if he has it and then go buy it and then maybe send it to you. Maybe I'll do something like that. Let me know your thoughts on it. I'm not giving you his information because I don't need you jabronis crushing this guy's inventory and then I go in there and there's nothing there. So that I'm not going to do unless, I don't know, I'll think about it. But I don't want that either. This happened to Beans on YouTube. I think it's Beans 316. He was talking about this blend of Toscana, I think it's called. I think it's a cigar company that did a collab with C&D. And he did this review on Toscana. Is it Maestro? which is a dark fire Kentucky and cigar. It's a burley blend. Something I probably wouldn't smoke. It seems just way too potent. But he did this rave review on it. He did a few reviews on it, like maybe 3 reviews. And he had thought he put this order in on, I don't want to say the website. It wasn't Smoking Pipes. But somebody took his order and he ordered like 12 tins. And then they contacted him like a couple weeks later saying, oh, by the way, we don't have that anymore. And he goes to Smoking Pipes and it's not there. And he can't get it. And he's freaking out. And he made a call to his viewers and he got hooked up. And all the listeners or viewers for YouTube wind up sending him a bunch of tins and he got stocked back up. But not that I get as many listeners as Beans gets viewers. I'm not saying that, but yeah, this whole thing probably sounded pretty selfish. But what I'm saying is if you give me a name of a blend, I'll check into it for you and I'll see if I can grab it. Or if I get too many requests, I might have to pick one a month or something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of just, as you could tell, talking as I'm thinking of this crap. So none of this may work out. Okay, I want to get into some listener feedback. Okay, I want to get into some listener feedback. I want you guys to know that I am reading the responses. I had like Google Forms in past episodes, and I have looked at them all. If I haven't replied to you, which I probably haven't, just know it means a lot, and I do get these. So I'll read you off for the guys who left their name in their responses. I'll give them to you now just to give you like a shout out and say thank you. So Jim Steffi, He filled out a Google form for me way back, probably one of my first few episodes. Johnny Waken, Dave, I think it's Kinsella from Dover, New Hampshire, I think that is. He left me a really, really long and good email, and I appreciate that. The Woodsman Piper, I think he's on Instagram. He puts out a lot of good content. And another guy named Dave. I appreciate your feedback, fellas. I really do. What I'm going to do is, I think I got another one here. One more guy. Come on. And a gentleman named Matt. I got your message, Matt. I appreciate it. You've been into Haunted Bookshop and Old Joe Krantz lately. Starting to get into vapors. And he says he likes my show. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Matt. What I want to do is I'm going to set up in the show notes, you'll see a link for if you want to record something for the show. So you click it and you can record whatever you want, and I'll play it on my next episode. And I promise it's not going to be 6 months from now because I feel like I'm going to get back. Okay. So look in the show notes. There'll be a link for you can record me a message and I will play it on the show. You could say whatever you want, any kind of feedback or disagreement or your own 2 cents on anything I mentioned. And if you're stuck and you don't know what to say, you just want to say hi, give me your name, your area, you're listening at, and give me one of your most underrated blends, which is kind of like this Barbary Coast episode. It's a blend that you don't hear much about. I really enjoyed it. So give me if you can't think of anything you really need to say, just give me your name, location, and let me know what you think of that's one of your most underrated blends. All right. Sutliff MacBaren is going away. You all know that. Most of the blends are going away. STG purchased them, and there's only a handful of blends at the moment that we're going to be able to continually get in the U.S. market. If you go to YouTube and do a search on this, you can watch plenty of videos, and there's some more in-depth to it than I'm going to give you. I'm not going to get into the whole thing. I'm just going to give you my 2 cents. Number one, I'm sad that you're losing these companies that have been around for a long, long time, Sutliff and MacBaren. There's a long history there, 100 years or whatever it is. People losing their jobs is obviously terrible. Us losing a lot of different blends is horrible. And this also affects a lot of the smaller blenders. I know like the Country Squire up until this moment, got a lot of their leaf from Sutliff. So now they have to try to resource. I know they stocked up on a bunch of Sutliff stuff, but they're eventually going to have to resource. They're going to lose blends altogether. Some formulas are going to change. So it affects a lot of different areas. I wasn't a huge purchaser of any one Sutliff blend or MacBaren blend, really. I mean, for the Sutliff side, I like the 507C slices and that bulk Virginia flake. I did, but like I said, I rotate so much that, and I like the Newminster, so I got a couple pounds of that. I'll find replacements for that. I like the Stokeby flakes better anyway because they have a little bit of Perique, but I'll miss that blend. Their Kringle flake that came out over Christmas, I liked it. People love it. I don't know if I'm into 20-year-old Virginias. I actually opened up my jar recently, and the one I bought a few years ago had mold all over it. It's not plume. I mean, it looks like mold to me. So I'm not into Virginias that old at this point. I like my Virginias anywhere from like 6 months to 4 years. For me, that's a peaking, and I want to smoke it. So not to say I'm sad that they're gone because there's other components to it. And then it affects other blends as well. Like I know Sutliff was doing the cobblestone. I like the cobblestone outdoor hiking, that burley. I'm assuming that's going to be gone. Same thing with MacBaren. I like the HH line. I like the HH Burley and the HH Virginia. It's no longer going to be gone. It's sad, but I mean, I have my alternatives. So for me personally, it sucks. I don't like it because we don't like change. And I like more is better, right? More is always better for us. So, but what can we do about it? I want to say there's nothing you can do about it, but then I thought of something. And here's something you can do, and it's something that I did back in November. And it's not that big a deal, okay? But it's a proactive thing that we can do to try to keep our hobby going. I do think this hobby is growing. I don't think it's dying. I think it went through a period of dying, maybe in the 80s and 90s, I think. But when you listen to Pipes Magazine's podcast, and Brian talks about it all the time, his downloads are going up. He's seeing more. And that doesn't necessarily mean there's more pipe smokers. Maybe more people are starting to listen to podcasts. That could be the case. But he believes it's growing. I do too. Especially when you check out YouTube and you see how many people are doing videos. And there's more content coming out. When you search for pipe content on Instagram, there's a lot of guys posting stuff. There's groups on Facebook. So I think the hobby is actually growing again. And I think it has been for, I don't know, a few years or 10 years. I don't even know, but I think so, maybe 20. But here's something you could do. Introduce the hobby to a friend. So I had recently, and I wind up bringing up pipe smoking to anyone that I'm talking to, friends that are over a period of time, because it just comes up. I'll be on the golf course after a few holes. It just comes up. It's part of my lifestyle. So we'll talk about cigars, we'll talk about pipe. And one of my friends was like, I've been thinking about what you said. And I had told him a while ago. He's like, I think I kind of want to be interested. I'm curious. So I went on Smoky Pipes. I got him a cob, and I got him a couple aromatic Sutliffs, which won't be there anymore. But I already have plans for other blends for him. Got him some filters in case he wanted them, some pipe cleaners, and he came over and we had a smoke session. I showed him how to pack it, how to light it. And, he's not loving it yet, but he's interested enough where he's going to do it once in a while, and maybe he takes off with it. So at least that's something you can do. Instead of feeling like we're helpless, is introduce it to one person this year, 2025. Get a little bag of, one of your favorite aromatics, or if you're talking to a cigar smoker, they might be able to do in English at first, but see if you can, next time you put your order in with Smoky Pipes, grab an extra cob and, a little bulk something and give it out to somebody. And let's keep this hobby going. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Again, check the show notes for if you want to jump around in this episode, and I'll separate each section with timestamps, and leave me a crazy message. The crazier, the better. I don't care what you say. I'll play it on here. I'm just happy for the downloads, and I appreciate you guys listening, and hopefully talk to you soon.